and welcome back to another Needlessly Nostalgic. Thank you guys for tuning in to this. We really appreciate it. I am one of your hosts, Tyler Nichols, with my co-host and /host/ I don't know what to call you ever, Lance Belcheck.
That's all
Lance,
good,
how are you this fine evening?
I am doing well, man. Doing well. Can't believe we're on number 10 already. It's wild. It feels like we just started.
I know, it's nuts. And I mean, the podcast is finally out in the world. It's on platforms. It's being listened to people. So it's finally a real thing. This is our first podcast that we're recording after it actually being out. So thank you guys so much for listening, and the feedback has been incredible. We've been overwhelmed by the support. So thank you guys so much. And yeah, it's been awesome.
We're here. This has been the one that I think I've been excited to talk about because it's a very divisive entry. And man, I have written only one WTF for the Joe Blow Horror Originals channel, and this was the movie. It was funny enough, in comments, people were like, "Oh, that's awesome, Lance, rock and roll, that's so good," and other people like, "This is the worst thing in the world. Kill yourself." So I'm still here.
Yeah, it's quite the array of opinions on this film. I speak with experience very similar to yours. I did this. I think I did an Awfully Good on Jason X, and then I think it was my next non-Awfully Good video. Someone had responded, and they're like, "Oh, this is the guy that likes Jason X." I'm like, oh, is that gonna be my reputation? But it's not a bad reputation to have, because if anything, it just means I like to have fun. I like to go to space and let all my worries subside and just not even worry about the bullshit rules of the franchise, aka society.
Can we talk real quick? I love that I have lived long enough to see a sort of reappraisal of this space horror subgenre, because for most of my life, dude, that was like, even if you had fun, shut your mouth, they're terrible, you don't know anything. And I would say the last maybe 8 years, maybe 5, I'm not really time sensitive. I've seen a lot of people come and be like, no, these are fun. Like, these movies are fun. Leprechaun in Space is fun. Jason X is fun. Hell, Arrow redid the Hellraiser series in 4K just to get the work print of Bloodline.
Yeah, Critters 4 also so much fun.
Yeah.
I think Don Mancini recently said that he's like, Chucky, I mean, he has to go to space. I mean, everyone's clamoring for it. And he was saying it very seriously. And it's like, yeah, because we've gotten to the point where the joke of Chucky in space has been made, where people are like, yeah, let's see it. How do we get him there? We've seen it. Well, I mean, I think this current season of Chucky has him in the Oval Office, so you can do some pretty insane things with that character, and it kind of fits in with the world. The
first one I ever saw in theaters was Bride, because I was a little too young for 3, and seeing kind of the trend from that to Seed, Cursed sort of reconnecting to the horror side. Then you have Cult, which it is such a weird sort of like mishmash of everything. And then the TV shows kind of continuing off of that. I don't know, it's an interesting journey for Chucky and Child's Play. We should eventually get to that series as somebody from Cook County.
Yeah, I'm definitely down for going through some Child's Play, just not the TV show.
All right, Jason X, come on, lead it off, my friend.
So, Jason X, this is from 2001, despite the fact that it was filmed in 99. Might have even been late 98, but I think it was 99. And this is directed by James Isaac, written by Todd Farmer, who we love, and then obviously Victor Miller got some credit. It's starring Lexa Doig, Jeff Geddes, and of course, Kane Hodder. And unfortunately, in his final appearance. But a presence still.
Yes. It's funny, we're making fun of Mr. Marcus for his intro in Jason Goes to Hell for the Shout Factory set. Kane's was the sort of dorky charm that I loved, where he then pretends to kill the camera. I'm like, that's awesome.
Yes. Yeah, that kind of stuff is entertaining. That kind of stuff is like, it's cute. It's a little more than, I don't know, misplaced humor about you having bought this many times. But yeah, we don't need to repeat that. I don't want to start this off. Why'd you have to bring up Adam Marcus?
Because I want to compare it to both of these intros, and I thought that the Kane one was the sort of dad humor one that I relate to more. I like it. But okay, Here's the deal. So this was my first Friday the 13th movie I saw in theaters. Of course, when I grew up, 1 through 9 were always around. That was the VHSs. So I think I was in high school at this point. I remember going with my buddy Dave. We probably got high. I had an amazing time. This is the kind of tone where I understand if it's not for everybody, but for me, I was like, and like you said, it was written late 90s, and I know for a fact that the screenplay was influenced by Scream, and it was supposed to be more of a meta take because that was like very popular at the time. And I would argue it might be, some could say it could be too meta. I'm not here to fight everybody, but I would say this is definitely the closest in tone to 6, even if it might step over the line of all the other Friday the 13th movies.
I would argue that one of the reasons that this movie has gotten a bit of a appraisal and a little bit of a re-looking at is that the fact that due to the MCU, and I would put most of it on Joss Whedon with the Avengers, this Joss Whedon style dialogue, then just that's what, when people say like MCU, that they're like the MCU humor, they're talking about Joss Whedon. It all comes back to Joss Whedon, like, because it's not the same stuff that was like there's the meta-ness of it all that then just goes into everything. It's why I would say the most recent Scream films, as because the Scream series has always been meta. I don't think they stand out as so different from anything else, because look at any other horror movie. Most horror movies nowadays acknowledge the existence of horror films. So they all have this degree of meta.
That's fair. But I mean, it still ties back to Scream, though, being the sort of trendsetter. Things did it before, of course, but Scream started off that trend, which absolutely. I mean, well, I guess what Whedon did Buffy, and Buffy was it 94 or 95?
96 was the first season.
No, the movie.
Oh, the movie, 93. So
obviously it's been there and such. I do feel that Williamson, though, I don't know, this might be weird saying to a Scream fan, but I felt like his was a little less, I don't know, dorky. Does that make sense?
No, I absolutely agree. This is what I mean. Everyone, and even it can get a little bit like satire-y once you get later on, because it's almost people then trying to imitate what Williamson did in the first film. But thankfully, I think the reason that those films kind of get away with it is the acknowledgement of it. We're in a requel. They always acknowledge these things in a way that like other films can't, because they don't have the Scream series. The Scream series has the Stab series, which is then just them able to comment on their own franchise without actually, you know what I mean? They're commenting on it without actually commenting on the Scream films.
Yeah, it keeps the series grounded, and so it doesn't go into parody, but it's a way for them to sort of make goofy and point shit out that if you did it in the movie, you couldn't have a serious movie. So you do it within a movie, so it's enough of a wink, but it doesn't actually kill the sort of vibe and in-world setting that it created. For me, it understood the assignment. Again, I don't mind the meta-ness as much, though I wouldn't want the whole series to go this way. I would like it a little darker at times, and we'll get into my pet peeves. But I think the director, is it James Isaac, I'm sorry. I felt like he understood what to give the audience a lot more than the previous film, because this definitely goes in a little bit of a different direction. Space, changing the suit. It's the first time we're actually like joking about in movie stuff, like, oh, he just wanted his machete back and stuff like that. But this didn't chicken out on anything it needed to do. There's still great and unique kills, making great use of the setting. I think there's at least a tit shot. If not, it's a jokey one. It didn't weaken Jason. It didn't make him pathetic. And I thought that Kane for being a very different Jason, and we're going to get into that eventually because there's a whole conversation there, still made this his own. It still had his presence. It still felt like a vision of what they wanted. Whereas, and I hate doing this, but if we look a movie prior to this one, it almost felt like they didn't know what Jason was. And so it's good to see him back is what I'm really trying to get to.
Yeah, it's great to actually see him back because he wasn't in the last one, and that's why the last one sucked. You get little bits of him because that he's the best part of this film, and I like this movie a lot, and I like the schlockiness of it, and I like the Canadian sci-fi of it as well. I love me some like Battlestar Galactica and like some Stargate SG-1, and that's what this reminds me of. So, and the Vancouver of it. I mean, you can. Anyone who's not Kane Hodder, all these people are Vancouver-based actors. It is, which like I just love, and I know that because many of them pop up in Stargate and those kinds of shows. So I don't know. There's a lot with this that I focused on the space stuff, and that's what I hated. That's why I think that's what a lot of people do. But as a Friday the 13th movie, it's much more Friday the 13th than you would expect.
I love that we start on Earth. I love that it's not immediately in space because I think it's kind of cool to get him there, as you said earlier about Chucky. How do we get Chucky to space? How Jason gets to space? It's kind of smart. I love the idea that the government, they want to freeze him. They're like, okay, but we want him alive because we're going to study him. And they give some weird kind of thing of why Jason doesn't die, but I don't really give a shit in this movie because it kind of fits the vibe.
You're skipping over the best part, which is the credit sequence where this is the best credit sequence in the entire franchise, and I'm going to explain to you why, sir.
I was going to get to the credits. I'm sorry, I'm jumping around.
They're first. The credits.
Yes, okay.
The credits is what
they're great. They're great and they're unique, and how they get around the body. Continue. Yes.
And it's because the last we saw of him, Jason went to hell. Jason is in hell. So then the fact that like it's this like hellscape, and then you come to realize like, oh, this is the inside of Jason. This is like Jason reanimating. So then it's the mixture of the fact that like, oh, the inside of Jason just looks like just hell on earth. And it also does a great job of establishing like, yep, this is how Jason is able to come back. He just regenerates. We now have it's like, how does Jason do anything? Regeneration. We now have the answer. He can fucking regenerate on his own. That's why he takes a shot. Guess what? Regenerated.
It's dumb, but it works. It works. I don't need it, but it's one of the few times where you retcon in a mythology item, and I'm like, you know what? Fine. Because it's sciencey, but it's still supernatural. It's a good balance where it's like, okay, he regenerates, but we don't know why, how, and for some fucking reason, this thing just keeps going. I'm down.
Great. I'll talk shit about some of the CGI and some other stuff later. This opening is like fantastic. It reminds me of Spawn.
Yeah. Yes. Spawn. Oh, wow. I saw that Chicago Heights Theater, I believe. First came out. I was so excited.
I think I was too young to see it in theaters, but I definitely saw it right when it came out on VHS. And so I would have been like probably 6.
All right, well, that'll be its own episode. We
are not ever covering Spawn.
Oh, Spawn, my friend.
The only way you'll get me to cover Spawn is if we cover comic book movies, which I don't think I can get you to do that.
No, it wouldn't be fun for you because I'm like I like enough on my one hand if I don't have a thumb.
Yeah, exactly.
But they start off. I like the look of the Earth stuff a lot. I know it's just a couple warehouses, but his lighting, it's still, for a movie that I consider too bright at a lot of times, I love how this part looks. I love that we start him off here. I love that he chases, I believe, right, Lexi Doig into the chamber, but stabs through it, fucks them both up. I love Cronenberg's cameo. I love it's a bait and switch. He murders everybody. It's just like, okay, this is Jason, man. This is what I've loved, what I always want, what I will always want. And to see it come back and they just wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. I'm excited, dude. I'm excited.
What's your opinion of the mask?
Jason's look, I do not love. I don't hate it. Here's the me being a politician. It's way too human for me. Way too human. That being said, it feels like they tried to be specific. Like the way his hair grows out of his like melted head, his really bright eye. Again, there's the look of the suit. It's a vision. So I guess what I'm saying is that I guess I could see that somebody had passion for something and made it. I want zombie Jason, though. If I guess he's going to be human, I'm okay with this. I just don't love it. I'm very like, I don't love it, but I don't hate it. I don't know.
Yeah. I guess my biggest question is just like the mask itself, because I had never really realized of just how, I don't know, off. There's like a weird geometry to it.
It's very flat and the nose going down.
Yeah, the nose, there's a look to it that other masks don't have, to a point that I've never really realized. And yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's very strange. I don't know. I don't
love it, but again, he has hair also, and that makes everything look weird. Jason has a fucking full head of hair. It's a weird look, man. I think Kane pulls it off enough where, unlike Jason Goes to Hell, even when Jason was in it, I think it looked like a Halloween costume. And I'm not trying to just go back and punch that movie, but for growing up with people hating this, I do want to be like, no, this is actually fixing what we didn't like before.
Well, and we have said before of like how important the notch is, and it does have the notch.
Exactly. So I don't love the mask, but it serves as the character, and human Jason, doesn't look terrible.
Yeah. I feel like this is definitely, I wonder how much of, it seems like Kane had a lot of input in this design, so it does seem more of in line with him.
It's probably like, I'm not sitting in that fucking makeup chair for 8 hours a day anymore. Put me like in a giant sack and just put a little makeup on my forehead and call it a day.
It's definitely just the most that I can see him in the role.
Yes, very descriptive eye.
Yeah. And that's not, I don't consider that a bad thing. Kane's really good. Kane's really good as Jason. I would probably be annoyed if it was anyone else, because I'd be like, what the hell? But Kane has a grasp on the character that I would say maybe only Derek Mears had. Because even the other Jasons that I like, it's like we hear him talk, and it's like I love Ted White, but he's always just like very dismissive. He's like, I walked from here to here and I did it. They said to look scary, choke this girl. Okay.
Yeah, there's not. They don't look at it as with a more of a heartfelt eye. Kane cared. And these other guys were like, well, yeah, it's a fun job, but who cares? Like, it is what it is. And Kane has some passion. And I'm going to make a bold claim here. In terms of performance, this might be Kane's best.
Yep, it is. I agree with that.
Gosh, I was ready for like a fight, dude.
No. What,
I don't know. I don't know.
Like 7.
I don't know. You might have. You might have had an 8.
I do love his performance in 8, though.
I was going to say Manhattan could have been. No, he's great. Manhattan, yeah.
Yeah, he is fantastic in Manhattan.
You don't like him in 7?
He's fine in 7.
I thought you hated the Laura Park Lincoln. We had a whole show about this. I don't remember you bashing his performance.
I didn't. No, but that's what I'm saying though. It's I'm not talking down to him. I'm saying though, of like, yeah, of course. What's the comparison is, like. He's Jason in it. Like, it's the same thing with like Jason Goes to Hell. It's like, yeah, he's Jason in it.
I would put that as a little different, but all right, fair, whatever. We both agree. I just expected more of a pushback on what I believe to be sort of a off the beaten path type of comment. But no, he's awesome. The opening's great. How he gets his space is great.
Yeah. And I think you when you say the lighting with that Jim Isaacs is doing, I think. Because obviously with David Cronenberg showing up, he is Isaacs is a student of Cronenberg. So I think the underlighting it very much just feels like stuff that he learned from Cronenberg. So I think that's why it works.
If anything, I wish we could, at one point before Mr. Isaac passed, gotten like a full Friday the 13th movie in this style. because this to me is like this is the most stylistic we've seen. I mean, I do wish it had some of that 80s grain, of course, but whatever. Life in the big city here. I love this vibe. I love he chases her down the stair, and there's that like spotlight that kind of has like the beams. It's very. It's surreal, not realistic in any way. It doesn't make sense for this type of environment, but I'm like, that's awesome. Let's have a little fun,
Yeah, there's a lot of just random. I mean, the massive warehouse just reeks of like, okay, this is just a set. Like, yep, this is the warehouse that they're shooting in. I wonder if you pan to the right, there's the outer doors of the Grendel. Like, wouldn't shock me, but it works. I like the look of it, because I think that part of me does wish that they had been outside, like, you know what I mean? Done a little bit of outdoors, because we're going to be inside for the whole rest of the movie. So it would have been cool to get, but I don't think that's what they were going. I don't think they were wanting to pay homage to the other films in that way. I think that they thought that the hollow scene was enough.
Yes, absolutely. And that we'll get to that scene, because that's clearly a fan favorite moment from this. But either way, it looks good. Rock it out. We give him to space. Unless you want to go over that part.
No, there's not. I mean, they get frozen and go into space. It's the whole. I love the whole concept, though, that this machine, it just freezes people and puts them in cryogenically frozen. Oh, but if it leaks, it then just makes that room cryogenically frozen.
It's good, yeah. It's a little science, wrong, but I like that. I like that they make it. Oh, this room just for some dumb reason contains this frost forever, and they get like an expedition, bring him up, and that's where we learn the tone. The tone is fun. It's bantery. It's kind of, like you said earlier, Joss Whedon and Kevin Williamson inspired, and I think it's good. It sets it up really well. The ship. This is where I have to disagree with you just real quick, because I'd like to bring it up. My dad, and actually I think probably by osmosis my sister, always loved that sci-fi TV stuff. Dude, I mean, my dad would come home from the army, and he'd put on like Andromeda or Stargate or Farscape. So it's like it's not my bag, but I do respect it. He loves like Doctor Who. He's that guy. But it has that fucking look, and I hate the look. I hate it so much, and I know it's not what they were going for, because Todd Farmer in the behind the scenes speech was talking about, like, he wrote this and pitched it like as Jason meets Alien. He wanted that sort of like dark, dingy look, and I'm assuming it's Cunningham, because I know he was very. There's a lot of fighting because of him. He put his nose in and started changing stuff, and then it became this sort of bright look. I obviously love the movie, so it doesn't bother me too much, but I do think that's my biggest flaw, is that it does have a TV look. And it's like, even though these movies have always been very cheap and independent, they always look cinematic, and this is like the first time it didn't, and it's always been kind of hard for me.
Yeah, it looks cheap, and you can tell like that he's trying to do something with it. There's some darkness to some shots, but yeah, it's just the neon, and it's them trying to add value that doesn't really work. Like at one point, I think it's a Mac. It's just a Mac. Like there's the monitor where I'm like, what the fuck? That's just a Mac. What do you? That's not super futuristic, but okay. This is 400 years later. It's also the same thing of that this one guy knows who Jason Voorhees is, where it's like, wait a minute, what? There were people that were clearly from New Jersey that didn't know who Jason was, and that he was killing people then, let alone 400 years later. What killers do we talk about from 400 years ago that weren't people that killed like Genghis Khan, like that level, like Hitler kind of level? Like those are the mass murder like that, not 200 people. Come on. They treat it like it's a big deal just because they want to mention the body count, but it's like 400 years later, there's plenty of other people to mention. COVID killed more people than that.
You make a good point, man. I always thought, and I actually like it, that this is the kind of continuing the trend from the last, which sucks, but I think this does better, and that is that Jason is a legend. It's a legend. Like now, the cops are aware of him, or FBI is aware of him in the previous film. In this one, the government has him.
It could have worked. It could have worked, but he's like emotional about it. The actor delivers it emotionally. If he had just like stated it of like, oh, I know about that guy. I read a Wikipedia on him once. Like just a nonchalant, like, yeah, he killed 200. But no, this guy is like, he gets like serious, and it's like, it almost seems like it's the guy in the bed, personally right? New. Yeah, the guy in the bed. Where it's just like, no, you should not have any emotional connection to Jason Voorhees.
I think he's like a famous actor. I think he's done something good. Because I think honestly,
he's a Cronenberg guy.
I think really what happened is that they got an actor who was like way too good for the line. And so it's the Wayne's World thing where whenever they take out what's his face and bring in Charlton Heston, and he delivers the same line about the girl in the gas station, and it's soulful and beautiful. Like that's what happened here. Is the guy was too good and just gave like the heart and soul performance where it was like, dude, it was just supposed to be like information.
That's 100%. 100. You are right on with it, because I'm trying to figure out what the guy's name is. I think it's Silverman, Robert A. Silverman. Because he's in Scanners and The Brood and Naked Lunch. He's in like...
Oh, shit, he's in Naked Lunch. Yeah.
He's a Cronenberg guy. He's in Waterworld, too.
Well, but we're going to be getting that this summer.
Yeah. So just to say, of like, so he's in, like, he's definitely, that's the connection, is the Cronenberg. So it's like, I get what he was doing, and like, yeah, he was probably only able to do this very simple role where he's laying down.
Yeah. He had to film it at his house.
Yeah, but it's like, and I get it. You gotta, for a movie like this, you gotta cash in favors, and I 100% get it. But his emotion is why that doesn't work. I never even realized it until watching it this time. So,
well, I don't mind him being legend, but it's either way. So we're in space, and I think that's probably the part that I guess now that we're talking about together, they do try to make it look interesting. The problem is, interesting to them is different colored lights, which I normally would love, but in this exact setting, it's like, no, man, that darkness would have just worked so well with the vibe, because then it would have been a funny-ish kind of film, but looked super serious. I would have loved that juxtaposition.
And the funny thing, too, is the Scream Factory version looks better than like the DVD. The DVD looks much more digital, I guess is the way to put it. Looks much more TV. So even this, there's more more contrast, deeper blacks. So even the version that we're talking about, it still looks better than the version that we kind of remember watching. And I think that's probably another element that has helped the, again, reassessment of this film, because people, when they watch it, they watch in the Scream Factory or watching the Shudder version, which is the Scream Factory remaster. So it's like, I think that helps. That's just my 2 cents on it, because
I didn't know it was getting a revision. I didn't know. I has been holding the same assumption that people just hate the shit out of this movie. So if there is a turn on this one, then look who's going to be right soon enough. Give me 5 more years.
I feel like the general tone towards this movie has shifted. I don't think it's this is good. I think this is a fun movie.
Well, that's what it should be. That's what it was always going to be. Jason goes to space. It's like, this should be the model for going to space. Like, this did it right. I have issues with some looks and some budget, but like they absolutely utilized the setting and did their best with the money they had. It's like, that's how you go to space.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I don't hate what they do with it. There's some stuff that, like the look of, like, things just look cheap for 400 years later. But there's a charm to that too, because it's like, it's kind of fun. I like that it's cheap.
Listen, I don't know if you know this, but a place that I dream to stay at one day. It's one of those, like, it's important to me in life, is the Contemporary, which is the Disney hotel that looks like a toaster, that looks like what the future looked like to somebody from the 50s, but really ended up being like early 80s, late 70s. I think that's gorgeous. So I love some schlocky, ugly stuff, and I'm with you. Like, this doesn't look good to me, but I can't appreciate it because it doesn't look good, but they really tried, and there is something to that of like, I don't have much, but I'm gonna swing as hard as I can.
Yeah, highest budgeted film of the franchise so far, so it's not like they weren't given some money, but this is a hard, they're doing this in 99. That's a very tough time to make this kind of film cheap. So I think that's why it then looks like the sci-fi movies of that era, or sci-fi TV shows of that era, I should say. But they're like, even the nanobots look awful. It's because that's the main thing I was thinking of earlier when I said the CGI looks bad in parts. That's the parts that it looks awful. So bad.
When the guy's arm gets cut off on Earth in the little cryo chamber part, that looks like something that I could do now or have done, as a joke, and that would be in a major motion picture.
Yeah, they seem to really rely heavily upon digital and like digital violence.
I was going to say that the issue I have with I have a lot of issues with the early 2000s, but a big one is that it was in this awkward era where all this stuff just wasn't popping. People didn't really like it as much. It's like this would play so much better today if we just released Jason X. I just think that the time for it was one of those that just was the wrong time, and we didn't get out of that. I was in my late 20s. We went through that weird period where like everything was like too cool for school.
Yeah. Which I think, there's a lot of, this is the kind of movie that I think I would only be able to show to a certain friends, because I know that there's plenty of them that would be like, what? This is just bad. What do you enjoy about this? But those are the same people that I don't think I could show any Friday the 13th to.
Yeah. You don't love 4 or 6 and then hate this. I know people do, but you're more likely to. I'd still show 2 if you're like, I've seen 4 and 6. Like, okay, I'll show you 10. 10's a good time. Pour a drink and let's take an adventure.
But let's get into the first major kill of the film, and it's the best, maybe the best kill on the entire series. The dunk the girl's head in liquid nitrogen and then smash her face.
There was maybe 6 people in my theater, but all of them clapped. I didn't, because I'm not like a clapper, at least at that age. I remember it like getting a response, and I was like, that was so cool. And it's cool. That's space. That's what you do. Okay, what can I have in here? Liquid nitrogen, of course, is for freezing parts. That's cool. It's sciencey, and it makes sense for the morgue setting. I love that it doesn't cut. It blows up on the table. And it sells it so much. Everything about this is perfect. And I'm glad that people agree that this is a brilliant kill, because it really just... I've seen it how many times. I get that little like, yes.
And the cut between him reanimating and the people
fucking
having sex.
And it's what brings it. It's like what does it. It's again, very witty and self-referential, but like it's her coming which brings him back. Yeah, because she moans and like he wakes up. It's like that did it.
Well, and technically it's a double whammy, because the one girl uses the nipple clamps on the professor, and so that's also contributing to it, because that was just before, like, because that's happening first. That's why I was like hesitant on the having sex, because I couldn't remember if it was these ones, because I don't even know if I would describe what they're doing as having sex. It seems more like she's just dominatrixing him.
Let's just say 2 people are hard.
Yes.
Let's meet there, and for some reason the whatever Wood puts in the air, it floats over to Jason. The girl comes back. It's fantastic. And I love that it's schlocky on purpose. Where they just get back from doing what a big expedition, and everybody's just like, I gotta come.
Yeah, I think the effect itself is just it's clearly a doll when he brings her head back up, but just how he manhandles the body, I've always really liked. It just shows Jason's power. But I also really like too, for anyone that's seen behind the scenes from this, it's the Jason really just like manhandles the actress too, but it's like she is so complimentary of him, and she's always like, we talk about everything beforehand. He puts his hand here, he puts this here, where it's like, that's the kind of stuff that you like to hear about your Hollywood killers of just like, oh yeah, where it's like, yeah, they look super violent, absolute sweethearts. So that's always one thing I think about whenever I see this scene. So I was like, oh yeah, this is all agreed upon.
And speaking to his performance, bringing back a little conversation from earlier, his movement in that is, I mean, she's fighting back as best she can. And like, I do like the fact that he just section by section gets her over there and then puts her in. It's far more physical, I guess, because most people don't really get much of they don't put too much of a fight, because Jason just kind of usually gets you and you're dead. So I see like her struggle a little. I think it was something you don't get to see a lot, and it was done well.
Yeah, I agree. It's probably my favorite scene in the whole movie. But the next thing I think is essentially the VR scene, the first VR scene where the Todd Farmer and that one kid are just playing Fight the Alien, and then Jason comes in and kills it. Yeah, which I didn't realize. I was just explained last night by one of my buddies of the whole Star Trek holodeck, and I didn't realize it was just essentially, it's just like, can just do whatever. And so this is clearly ripping that off, and like that's just a sci-fi thing, the holodeck. So it kind of just makes me then, I'm like, okay, I probably would have been criticizing like, wait, he cuts open the hologram, like, but no, the holodeck apparently has these like fantastical abilities. I'm accepting of it. That's all I need to know.
Jason was on the holodeck. You get to have a little fun because he gets to kill a monster, and then he kills the guy, but not for real. Yeah, it's like, it's using again like the spaceship / sci-fi setting. It's like, okay,
yes,
and as much as I love Takes Manhattan, we both agree that it's the lack of Manhattan that sucks. But at least they use their surrounding. I mean, I would say this is like the best example of, even at its worst, everything sci-fi and futuristic is sort of explored. Crashing of ships, holodecks, what?
I do agree with you, but the next series of kills, once the film becomes Aliens out of nowhere, where they introduce all these space marines and like, all gung-ho trying to go kill Jason, that moment kind of, I think, falls flat because it's mostly just like off-screen stuff, stabbings, throat slits. It's not utilizing the space element.
No, you're right. And that's absolutely probably for budget, because I know that, what's it when you could float? What is it called? Zero Gs? Yeah, so there's a zero G sequence.
Yeah.
Both things. Because I remember I read the whole part of the book from Crystal Lake Memories. But at least the counter argument I'd make, and I'm actually reaching here because I know it's not why, but I'm just going to throw it in there, is that to me is like, okay, but now we get a bunch of Friday the 13th part 1, 2, and 3 kills jammed in the middle to kind of just space some of the budget out. And I'm okay with that because everything before was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like when you'll see like a big action movie and it's like, oh, yeah, big set piece. We needed some time to chill out, aka people talking in a room, because we can't just be spending this money all the time. Yeah, yep, which I get, but it's just, I mean, I think also it's very lame visually. It's just like it's just everything's darkness. Everything about it feels cheap. Just like dark, can't see much of anything. It just seems like they're trying to hide the set and make it seem bigger, shoot in the same spot.
I agree. Actually, I would even go farther and say that I don't know if James Isaac was really good at directing action, Like the beginning parts, the action was very sort of contained and just more like guy falling over, people shooting and falling on the ground. That looks better. This stuff, it's like, you kind of learn. Some people have an eye for action. I don't know. I feel bad saying it because I don't know the guy and maybe he's done something good. But you're right though. That is the stuff that comes off the lamest.
Yeah, which you bring him up, and we're kind of talking about Space Marines now, and just have to say, Sergeant Brodsky is the fucking man. When all the stuff we said about Creighton Duke, it's like, this is Sergeant Brodsky is what they wanted Creighton Duke to be. He is incredible. He has this amazing line. He's like, told Doc we'd take him alive, so put one in his leg so we can say we tried. Like, I love it, especially too because with the first part of that line, you could all the other Marines are so disappointed and like, aw, bounced up with that. It's like, yes, he gets it.
100% correct. This guy is a badass, but I believe him as a badass. And the fact that like everybody else is kind of a bitch, obviously, besides like Rowan, everybody's just sort of like, the future's a bunch of like kind of like skinny dudes and nobody's tough. I like that he takes charge, and that's kind of character that, that's the kind of fight of Jason that I wish this movie had more of. Yeah,
no, I would agree with that. I mean, I don't know. There's stuff that I wish that they did more with Brodsky. If anything, my main complaint against him would be that I love what they do with Brodsky, but yeah, they don't utilize him, especially in the way that I would like him to be utilized. Because again, it's like he doesn't show up until probably 30 minutes in, if not longer. So that's unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable, because that man is incredible. And I mean, he has the best lines. He has the best scenes. I don't know. I'm a big Brodsky fan. Big Brodsky head.
He, I wish, I really do. Because I remember thinking they were going to give it to us because I was naive in my teenage years. But this ends and the mask falls to the bottom of the sea, at the end of this movie. And I'm like, oh, Jason survived. And a part of me is like, I know they kill him, but like in this kind of futurist universe, because I thought it was going to be Jason just like in a futuristic setting now. I was thinking like, no, you bring back Brodsky like injured or burned or find a way to keep him alive, whatever, and that like he then hunts him in that futuristic setting. And it's like, that's going to be a cool next movie. And of course it never happened because this didn't do well and people talk shit. But and part of me was like, yeah, like they're setting up Brodsky to be maybe like another Tom Matthews.
Can you imagine some world where this did well and they're like, yep, Jason's just in the future now. That's just what we're doing. Jason in the future.
That's fucking awesome. That's what I want. I love that type of setting. In all honesty, I'm sure you know this.
Get it? What do you mean? You said you hate all these Canadian sci-fi. That's what it would look like.
If it did well, they might get a better budget and get more money and maybe...
A lot more faith than I do.
I'm just saying that I would love... they put Spider-Man in the future. There's like a couple video games I used to play for the Wii. Like, I like futuristic settings. No, I don't like sci-fi TV because I think it looks like shit. But like movie sci-fi, that's what I want. And let's get some movie sci-fi in here. Have him float, put him in a Fifth Element. And I would be... the happiest boy you've ever met, because that is such a cool idea, stuff to play with. And then maybe like you could send him back in time to fight some fucking knight. I don't know. Jason's the kind of guy that I've always said I want them to put him in different situations. I am not a Crystal purist. I love him around a camp setting, but I have a lot of it, so I'm actually very okay with just putting Jason somewhere else. All I ask is have Jason in the full movie and respect what this series is became, and make sure to do more of it.
Yeah, I like too that they do a fake out death with Brodsky. You think he's dead, so then So the one element of the fact that they kill off all these people in quick succession and without much creativity is the fact that, okay, well, we got to see all these Space Marines and they just got destroyed by Jason. So these students are going to die even faster, I would assume. So that does a good job with the stakes.
We do get one amazing Marine death, and I would hope you like it because it's always been one of my favorites, is the Screw.
Yeah, the Screw is great.
Doesn't make any sense. There's a giant screw, but I don't give a shit because it's an impaling death, and we've seen those. But then, because it's a screw, he spins around, it becomes sort of ridiculous, and it's a way to, I'd say polish up what would just be a an okay kill.
I agree. It worked well. They do there's aspects of it that I think all the kills in this work well outside of just the simple stabbings, because again, we're past that as a franchise. If you're gonna do a stabbing, you gotta make it impactful. While in the midst of Jason's rampage, he kills the pilot, which then the Grendel crashes into Solaris. So in this logic, a space station can just get taken out by another ship, and the ship will be fine. The ship is essentially going through skyscrapers and completely fine, but just taking out skyscrapers and just continuing to go along. I've always just been so confused at how much the space station seems to be made out of paper mache, and the Grendel appears to be made out of adamantium.
I'm just going to speak as straight as I can. I love this. I love it so much. It's so stupid. You're right. I never thought about that, but good. Because this says that Jason basically kills 30,000 people. His body count jumps so high because of this. I love it. It's so ridiculous. This is the vibe of the movie that I love, where it's Jason just kills the pilot, not really even paying attention. Doesn't give a shit. Does he? I forget. How does the pilot die? He gets shot, right? Shut up.
Yeah, and I think they see his head shows up later on. Yeah. Sorry, to be fair, they do miniatures, so that's cool. But the compositing isn't great with combining the Grendel with the miniature of the Solaris.
No, we were in a bad time for CGI and for this budget. Yeah, no, you're right though.
This is a really bad time. Because this would have been going off of, because Alien Resurrection was just a couple years earlier, and that space stuff, it's a very awkward transitional time for CGI.
And I could say this as somebody who saw this in theaters when it came out. I remember at the time thinking it looked kind of like shit. So that's always good to remember, because I feel like a lot of people look back more fondly, and it's we all do, of course, but I remember my thought process at times, and sometimes I age and realize I was wrong. This is the time that I was not. I was on the money.
That looks bad. Same with when you mentioned the Brodsky going towards getting Jason at the end. Yeah, that stuff just doesn't look good, because this wasn't the era to do space stuff.
No,
cheap.
No,
it never is. There's a film that released this year called ISS, and it still had probably a $30 million budget. But guess what? That's not enough when you're dealing with space stuff. Because, these people have to be in zero G the whole movie. They're doing spacewalks. It's okay, how are you going to maintain that because you need at least twice the budget.
Well, I think the problem you're mentioning is that they're writing space movies without the space budget, but especially those people, it's dude, you can make a space movie in corridors or whatever, and if you get a good enough story and actors, I'll be fine. But yeah, you can't be doing space stuff on a low budget. But maybe that's why I kind of like this, because you're right, it was a bad era. I would actually prefer this. It came out 97. That'd be or maybe 96, just where CGI you couldn't rely on it as much. That kind of Jason space. It would have
the Hellraiser Bloodlines level. Yeah.
Yes.
Where it's a little more just back, the rear projection space, and there's a lot of stuff that had this come just a few years prior. This would have been even more schlocky goodness.
It would have been schlocky, but in the era where schlock still looked better. That's what I was saying. This whole series is cheap, but why does this, the one that cost the most, look the cheapest? Is because it was in the wrong era.
Yeah. Well, and hell, Freddy vs. Jason looks terrible. We'll talk about that next episode, but it's there's just certain eras where it's just ooh.
I've been very clear that the very end of the 90s to the early 2000s, man, was the worst looking time of, I have so many issues, but what I'm going to say for Jason is I actually have purposely been avoiding it because I want to watch it right before we talk, and I don't remember it looking that bad, so I am in for a treat.
Oh, I don't think it still looks fine. It's just that 2000s look. It's so 2000s. The framing, the editing more so than anything, but just even the extreme colors, and yeah, there's just a lot with it where it's like and it stands out even more from like the rest of the franchise, I feel, from a visual standpoint. But that's because it's an Elm Street movie. It's not a Friday the 13th film.
Well, exactly. That's the argument that you and me both have. But
yeah. So one of the other kills I really like in this is the whole, he just wanted his machete back.
A great witty line, because of course he's like, oh, this guy just wants his thing, his tool, his some connection. And it's like, no, dude, you're giving Jason. I love it. It was in the trailer. It sells it. It's fucking fantastic.
He's the Bernie Lomax of this movie, so it's nice to. I mean, he lasted an hour and then he gets offed as it should be.
Jason gets his machete. There's something else, you know what, I always loved. As much as I think it's a cool design and I appreciate anything that does something different, I like that the majority of this movie he is actually, and you might fight me in this because I think people might disagree, I am glad that Uber Jason is a special little treat and not the majority of the movie, because the trailer sells that he's in it, the costume, the Uber Jason costume for almost all of it. At least that's how I remember it being kind of pitched to people.
It can be shocking when you then realize that Uber Jason is only in the final 15 minutes. One, what are your thoughts on the robot? Because I think that's super space.
I hate it. It's my worst. It's the actress I think is good. I think she's in Battlestar Galactica, the one.
No, she's in.
What?
Stargate or something. It's not Battlestar Galactica is good.
Oh, Andromeda. My dad would watch it. That's why I know it.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Well, whatever. Either way. I don't know the actress myself. I'm sure she's fine. I hate the dialogue. I hate the directing of the character. It's just not for me. It's goofy in a weird, dumb way, where that's the one thing that I think should have been the most serious, because now that's goofy.
Yes.
I find it annoying, and I don't like that she kills Jason. I don't.
She should have been Jeanette Goldstein from Aliens. That should have been the demeanor of or even the fucking Lance Henriksen. That should have been the demeanor of that robot, not sex doll.
Yeah, she's too playful.
Quirky sex doll.
Yeah, quirky. That's a good word to use. I don't want my robots in that tone, especially in a movie like this. Like, that character should have been serious. It would have balanced things out a little bit better. And her kicking Jason's ass bothers me because I think she's a lame character. So I don't like that a lame character was able to win.
When she has that level of personality, it's like, what's the point of her being a robot? Oh, the point of her character is to defeat Jason. Oh, then you guys couldn't have done something cooler. It's like, because make her act like a robot at least. She doesn't even act. Her robotness is very minor.
Yeah, it's a bad interpretation. You ever play I'm going to tie this in actually, Alien Isolation?
Yeah.
All right, well, it's a game I thoroughly enjoyed, and I remember those androids instilled fear in me. I'm not saying we needed that exactly, but that is the kind of android that I would be like, oh, if I killed Jason, like, that's cool. Yeah,
I would agree with that. That would work well. For a second, I was trying to think. I was like, wait, are you talking about like Ripley in it? It's like, I don't think that's the personality to go for.
No, don't you remember? Like, that's what the androids, and they would chase you down, man.
Yeah, because they act like what's his name, Ian Holm from the original Alien. They have that kind of like just super dark, and I think they all have British voices too, don't they?
I actually don't remember the voices. I just remember the terror, like they were unrelenting. Yeah. I'm just thinking like that, they were cool, but if you fucked with them, or like later in the game when they all turn on you, but earlier if you like messed with one, it would just turn, and it was
even that. Okay, here's the way to fix it. Have one of those damn Marine guys hit on, like, smack her ass or something, and she immediately turns into fucking, like, breaks his arm on accident, like, because she's immediately defends. Just something of like, oh, so this thing's quirky, but they'll immediately, if you fucking do something, she'll mess you up. Anything.
We don't feel that she can be deadly, so when she is kicking Jason's ass. It's awkward, and it's again how it's presented isn't even tough. It's like she's like quirky and she makes a lot of quips, and it's like it's very early 2000s cool, which I've mentioned in a couple of my videos prior. That is the thing I'm having the hardest time with, is that I'm revisiting a lot of these older movies, because what was cool back then was walking the line already, and it's I know what's cool isn't always cool, and sometimes you got to love it for being time specific, but early 2000s cool is very, very, very lame.
Dude, that's why they're so good. That's why they're so much fun, is they're so lame. It's like one of my prime examples would be like I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, which I think is technically late 90s still, but where it's just schlocky, and the stuff they think is cool is not cool, and that's I feel like where so much of the fun comes in, or like the moments that they're like, oh, this is gonna get them, where then it's like, really, you thought this was really cool? Appreciate that.
I think my issue is that I'm going to get to where you are eventually, but for me, I was in my late teens, in that era. And so I remember what I thought was cool, what was not, and being kind of annoyed at the time, because I remember seeing, and again, I put late 90s or 2000s because that is the same decade. It really is the style of the late 90s influenced early 2000s. And so for what you're saying is I think I'm going to get there eventually. I just think that I'm still a little too close. Like 20 years isn't far enough for me. For me to, I had a far easier time accepting the schlock of the 80s, because it was always kind of schlocky to me. I always thought it was fun, but like the 2000s, I remember being around thinking a lot of the trends were annoying, and now seeing things come back now, I'm annoyed that they're coming back, because I thought they were annoying then. And, we're in a weird time. We're in a weird time, but I believe eventually you and me will be able to have a lot of fun talking about the 2000s. I might just need a tad more time.
Eventually you're going to be like, oh my God, I finally get it. It finally is clicking for me. But maybe not. Maybe 2000s will just always be that era that you're just like, nope, I can't do it.
I'm fascinated, because you're right. Yeah. But is that going to be my thing?
Yeah.
Is that something that I will never truly see as fun, because I was it was the part of that life where, I'll be honest, I remember thinking in the early 2000s, I hated a lot of American horror. That was when I got into foreign horror a lot. In high school, because I was annoyed at the mainstream horror that was coming out. And so I got really into the new French Extreme era, what was coming out of Korea and Japan, because I thought it was a lot meaner and it was a lot more spiteful. And I felt like I liked that stuff in my teens, maybe because I was a hormonal little shit. What if there's a therapy session? What if I'm figuring out that's the reason why? Because I thought the 2000s were a little too cute and a little too safe, and I needed an outlet, and I got into I love high tension. I love Inside.
We're kind of getting to that point right now because people are so sensitive with they don't want controversy. They don't want, and studios too. Studios are like, oh, we don't want to do something that's going to piss off some minor group that is just very vocal. So then they don't take risks, and it results in just a lot of very tame films, which I definitely think we're going through in some degree, but we then have these places like Neon and A24 who are just doing the most insane stuff. Did you see Titan? Or Titan?
No, it's the one where she fucks the car, right?
Yeah.
My sister actually told me it was pretty good. I got to be honest, the trailer didn't do it for me. I'm like, I don't even like it. But if you're saying I should give it a watch,
if you like the weird French extreme stuff, because the same director did this great movie called, I think they're the ones that did Raw.
Yeah, I liked Raw.
Yeah, or then we're in the era, I think we're back in the era of, I just kind of you can't rely on mainstream horror to satiate these days.
No, we're in the most indie era. You're right. We're in the most indie era I think we've been in, because really the horror that I get into, I tend to see through like Shudder or it's indie stuff. It's not, I would say the majority of the stuff I watch, I don't even go to theaters. So that's where we're at.
trying to think of that. A lot of the stuff is just ends up being very generic. I like the movie that's been standing out to me is like Night Swim. Night Swim was just the most generic horror movie, and same with we're about to have the release of Imaginary, which I think will be released by the time that this comes out, and so it's stuff where I'm like, yeah, we're in just a kind of crappy era of popular horror.
The Blumhouse effect, man. They did something that was really cool, and I remember, dude, it's new enough where I remember feeling very optimistic about Blumhouse, because like their model was like creative freedom, a little money that's turned around quick, and I'm like, you know what, that actually could work. That's why the 80s were good. And then Blumhouse became essentially, that is the model, but they're all generic, boring, safe horror movies that, you know, that go to the theaters. That's the shit that comes out, man. And it's a weird to see something stumble so much that it's so much promise. But as you mentioned, that A24, you know, though they could lighten up a bit, is the closest to like a mainstream label that's putting out something interesting, you know.
We have currently Hulu is doing this strange thing where they essentially make a lot. They're kind of doing the Blumhouse model of, we're not going to give you a lot of money, go make your thing, which results in a lot of really bad movies, but it then also results in Prey ends up happening, and The Boogeyman, and like there's these movies that then they're supposed to just be straight to streaming, and then they're like, oh shit, this is actually good, we're gonna send it to theaters. So, but even then, it's like, well, they're still getting a lot of shit though produced. Like, I don't know if the return is quite
it must make money. It must make somewhere. It must make money somewhere, because they wouldn't do it if it wasn't. So
yeah, because they keep the price down.
Tubi has like a bunch of just shit in there, and clearly, and that's, you just watch some commercials. It's a free service. Yeah. I think there's money in this weird sort of black hole of bad shit that nobody ever sees and just becomes more content. It's weird. I don't understand it. I don't love it, but also it makes me think like maybe you and me should make a movie and make some money.
Absolutely. My grandparents are in their 70s and they're getting ready to get rid of their cable / DirecTV or whatever, because you know what they watch? Tubi. They watch a bunch of stuff on Tubi. It's like, yeah. Sometimes that's all it takes is then just click on stuff, and yep, that's what you just need to access. People just need access to it. That's really where we're at, because there's so much content out there. You just got to cut through that as long as you can get seen. The issue these days, and I see it all the time. For those that are unaware, I'm a horror critic, and so I see a ton of horror movies that then, it's like just an incredible film that then no one sees, just gets lost. And it's like, yeah, because there's so much content. Lance will tell you, I will just randomly mention a film. I'm like, this is incredible. You've never heard of it. And it's like, that's what most of the people, that's a reaction of most people that would hear that. Like, I don't know what that is.
And the thing that should scare people is that, you know, like I have, you know, the stuff I click on, the stuff I read, I am more likely to see stuff like that just based on the algorithm, and I still miss it. Yeah. So imagine not clicking on horror articles or work through Joe Blow. It's like, yes, I am more exposed than the average person, and I miss stuff. I mean, again, I'm not going on my way looking, because it's like that in itself nowadays is really hard for me, because there's so much. And how things are spread out, and it is really, it's like they say the easiest time to make a movie, and the worst time to make a movie, because it's the easiest to make and then nobody will see it.
Yep, there's a great movie that you and I both love called Dinner in America, and 2020 film that I didn't know anything about until a YouTube channel that you and I both love talked about it. Where then we're at the point where being good is not enough. You have to then get lucky to then have your movie actually seen.
Our friends, the Manson brothers, made a movie, Midnight Zombie Massacre, the Manson Brothers Midnight Zombie Massacre, I think. It's a long title. Really ridiculous. Great, charming, low-budget zombie movie set around wrestling. Real fun. And these guys have put their ass into it, and then they've been in a couple horror conventions. They debuted it at the Music Box in Chicago, and still, I talked to Chris Margettis, and he'll admit it. He's like, yeah, dude, it's like, and still doesn't get picked up. He's still got to hustle all the time. So it's like once you make a movie for the next decade, you need to just be shilling that movie forever, and that's not the model that we grew up with.
Yeah, it's insane, and it's disconcerting because it's like, I mean, you and I would both love to make a film, and that this kind of stuff is always just like, oh, how do you even get something made these days? And like, even looking at Jason X, the only reason that we got Jason in space was they were not able to make Freddy versus Jason yet. So they're like, shit, we need to keep the IP going. And I don't know why space was chosen, but it was literally just them trying to get something out. So that alone, sometimes you just need essentially luck. Hell, the new Spawn movie, they are essentially waiting for the release of Joker 2 to get it made, because they're like, this is a big budget R film. This is a movie and Spawn is something that has Jamie Foxx, Jeremy Renner attached, and the original creator attached as well. That's having trouble getting made. It needs something, and it needs Joker 2 to do well to get made. That's crazy.
And they've been trying to make that movie for a long time, so the fact that it's that hard and still at this level with that talent shows you the industry we live in, or the industry that we're living through, I should say. We are in, let's be very, very clear, we are in the dark times of the movie industry. I mean, we still get amazing movies, which shows just the level of people busting their ass. Yeah. But I mean, we have Warner Brothers racing movies and getting for tax write-offs. Streaming is killing the theater. We're in the beginning, or at least we're in somewhere the transitional period or whatever's next. We're going to have to come out different. This model will not last. And we're seeing the fall of Rome, I guess.
Yeah, we're in a downturn. Whether it's attributed to the strikes of 2023 or not, there was less produced content in 2023 versus 2022. So content has peaked. We are only on a downward slope. So it's really, really sucks. And it's a big reason why we're now on 15 years without a Jason movie.
I want one more of Kane. I don't know. But he's probably at that point where he only has a couple years more where he'd even be willing to do it if he still is. I don't know.
I don't even know. Is Kane doing that kind of stuff anymore? I just kind of. He might come back
for Jason if they asked. I mean, it's like it's so important to his livelihood.
Yeah.
He's a convention guy. But I don't know.
I'm also at the point, I think the series has moved on. I don't think we need it.
I don't care what we need. I want one more, man. I want to say goodbye. I mean, Jason X was awesome, and if it's the last, it's the last. But I wasn't ready, and now I'm old enough where I want to be that'll do, pig. That'll do. I need that moment.
And what you're gonna get instead is Kane Hodder in Never Hike Alone 3. That's your monkey's paw curling.
Yep, it absolutely is. And we will never cover those because I refuse.
Yeah, not going to happen. I mean, unless people just want an episode that's like Jason Goes to Hell.
Well,
did we talk about fucking Uber Jason really?
We just talked about his costume. We should probably run through that a little and then.
Yeah.
So that's an hour of us just waxing poetica.
Yeah, the whole Uber Jason aspect is he looks like a Power Ranger villain. He looks like, what's his name?
Lord Zed.
Lord Zed, yes.
That's why I don't hate him. That's exactly why I don't hate him.
So the only thing I think is bad is the very plastic mask. I wish the mask didn't look so plastic. But
he looks like a Power Ranger villain, which means he looks all rubber. It's not great. That's the only reason I don't hate it.
But imagine that with like a more of a matte finish. Like, I don't know. I think the mask would have just worked better had it not looked like a toy.
His body looks really cheap though, and I feel
it does.
It's just, it is what it is. It's
I like the eyes.
Cute. The eyes, great. The red eyes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cute effect.
Though I will say, why? I feel like Jason. Like, don't we know that Jason is being a little wonky-eyed?
Well, this claims to just regenerate him like as a better human being, I guess, without any sort of issues. Like it fixed the genetic code.
Yeah, we fixed him. We can fix him, girls.
And he comes back. We got a cool kill where he blows a hole open in the ship and the girl gets sucked through. That's always fun.
I like that kill. I know there's people that don't. I like it.
No, it's a great kill again because what does it do? It
utilizes space.
Exactly.
The Uber Jason is technically in the film for 15 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. So that's not an excessive amount. It's not as much as him being on the cover probably will scare people into thinking he's hardly in it. It's mostly classic Jason, and even Uber Jason still acts like Jason. So there's still stuff to like.
It's Kane Hodder. And we get I was gonna say it doesn't necessarily have to do with Uber Jason, but the Uber Jason part is where they try to stall him with the holodeck, and it's going back to Camp Crystal Lake. And this is, to me, totally what sells the movie. I think it's awesome. I don't know if it. I listen. I'm not saying every movie needs to be this referential, but to me, this is how you do it right, where you actually get nudity. They actually, it feels very authentic and very. Respectable, but it understands the assignment. Like this exact scene could have been wrong in the worst hands. Jason goes to hell.
Yeah, very true.
They messed up. Remember, the intro cabin scene should have been the most authentic Jason part, and it wasn't. So,
yeah. This feels very authentic, and if anything, does kind of make me wish more so that the beginning was not in a warehouse. And that it was in like them capturing Jason and like you know what I mean? Like just get a little bit of that camp. That way you have the bookends of.
Sure, you get him in the woods and bring him to the station, and then he gets frozen. That's fine.
Yeah, but I also understand if like maybe this is them thinking, we've seen that kind of thing before. Just cut right to it. We already have him.
I mean, it's so weird looking too. There's like the giant moon, it looks a little wonky, but I like that because they could explain that with, well, it's a holodeck. It doesn't look perfect. It's going to be sort of surreal.
Yeah. And I like too, Jason, like understanding and realizing that he's being tricked.
But only after he immediately goes and just murders them both, or tries to. He's like hitting the girl with the other girl in the sleeping bag, because it's a hard cut. It goes away and we're like, we don't know what's going to happen. And he's just beating the girl to death. I'm like, okay, they get it. They get it.
And obviously homage to the sleeping bag death from Seven. So that's fun.
Yeah. And, for a child like me, it made me very happy to see that. I think I did the old fist bump in the theater.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, it was definitely a smart move for we're going to pay homage both to what people know from Friday the 13th and Jason, but we're going to pay homage to one of the most memorable kills that most people, especially at that time, it was even more in like the public conscience. I don't know if it is these days because there's so much content out there. I think it's hard for anything. I think there were only 2 movies from the whole last year that entered the public conscience, and that was Oppenheimer and Barbie.
Yeah, no. We're when we were having our little rant about the time, I was thinking how, because of how people consume, movies and TV and how just things are spread out, there's going to be a lot of fractured nostalgia. Like you and me didn't grow up in the same state, but video stores for the most part had very similar movies. So like we could bond over the sleeping bag scene. Whereas now you can tell me one of the best movies you've ever seen in your life and tell me a scene. I'm like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Like, because you watched it on Shudder, and what if I don't have Shudder? Then I will never see that. There's no store that has Shudder and Hulu in it that I go and just grab a physical thing. It's like, no, you have to sign up. So just thinking like that, the sleeping bag was a big thing, and so was the frozen head. But in this era, I don't know, unless it's Freddy Krueger. No, not even that. I just don't think we're going to have the same effect. And that's going to make all the old movies look better, and we're going to have a weird sort of revisionist history where we're going to regard things that were good as amazing because everybody still remembers them.
That's why we need this to be a thing. Like, we need Friday the 13th to come back so that then the younger generations can learn what Friday the 13th and Jason is all about. Because again, that's the worst aspect of it. There's 15-year-olds that have never been alive when one of these movies was released. Like, my nephew loves horror movies. There's never even been an opportunity for a Friday the 13th to be in theaters around him. Like, come on. Which means he doesn't have any interest in the Friday the 13th movies, because why would he? There's nothing to remind him. He doesn't even know that they exist.
You know what that reminds me of? When I was being junior high, I forget how old I was. This movie called The Avengers came out with Ralph Fiennes and Uma Thurman. Thurman, sorry, I left the N off. And he took me to see it, and I was like, I didn't like it. It was stupid, Sean Connery. But it's based off this very famous British TV show that he absolutely loved. But it's like, dude, it's like, I'm not saying people can't get it, but I would have never gone to see that if he hadn't dragged me, and I didn't like it anyway. But I want to bring up real quick that I believe that Jason X was that for I guess my generation. Like, I grew up with it, but like this, between Jason Goes to Hell and this, there's a long time period, a long one, probably I think the second longest in the series. So there's got a lot of people that weren't, that didn't know about Jason. I think this is what you do in terms of what this movie is about, is what the next movie has to be, which is nudity, kills, creativity. Let's move. Let's have a good time. Let's no resetting mythology. No getting deep into his dad. No. I don't care what the setting is, but take from Jason X the important aspects, which is it knew what the series was and it had a best of feeling of everything it did. I mean, we're getting a sleeping bag kill reference. I mean, I'm down. I'm good with that. Let's chain to a rock for a little then next time.
Yeah, they do everything. I don't know. They do everything that I would want from a Friday the 13th. So, I mean, less so than probably the remake. The remake does it even better, but that's what we need these days. So that then, because the whole thing is, it's just about reminding people so then they go back and watch some of the other ones. But there's no reminder of that outside of this lovely podcast.
James Bond has been around before I was ever born and was an important part of my childhood because my dad loved it and they would make new movies. So I always say I have my Bond. It may not be your Bond, but I have mine. And that's what I want Jason to be for the horror side. And probably it's a better chance because with Freddy, recasting Freddy, they tried it once and the internet blew up.
Yeah, it didn't work. For those that are unaware, Jackie Earle Haley did not want to do that role and hated the Elm Street movies.
All right, well, I'm going to save that because I want to jump in, but then we're going to be talking Freddy, and we got...
Yeah, I know. Well, just a little bit of a tease for whenever we cover that. Cause,
I'd like to...
I only recently found that out.
Haley's an interesting part of that movie. But, all right, well, I guess I'll just say... Well, wait, we gotta rate it. Oh my gosh, what am I doing?
Yeah, that's what I thought you were going into.
No, I was just gonna be all right, goodbye.
Oh, no.
Just take off my headset. All right, I'll just jump into it. 3.5. 3.5. I love this movie. I have a great time. It's fantastic. People are wrong. I'm right. And I don't mean that in any sort of disrespect. It's just, I could have a good time, and the dumb stuff in this doesn't bother me. It does what it needs to right, and that's all that I ask for a meat and potatoes type of movie.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed this one. I think I was a little less into it this time around than you were, but I'd give it a 3. I think it's still pretty solid. I still really, really, really enjoy the schlockiness of it. but the lack of just, I don't know, Friday the 13th setting outside of the VR scene, it hurts it a bit. It's the same reason that Jason Goes to Hell kind of pissed me off, because it's like, this isn't Friday the 13th. What is this weird vibe and tone they're going for? And Voorhees house and weird demons. And so this, at least, Jason feels like Jason. So that is a great through line. And I like Canadian sci-fi, so it'll always be something that I get a kick out of.
Hey, ain't my bag, but people I love are into it, so I will be very respectful and say, you know what? You do you, my friend. You do you.
Well, I think we've pretty much covered Jason X. Thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure you like, follow, rate, leave a little review, any of that stuff. We really, really appreciate it. Appreciate any of the feedback you guys have given. It's been awesome. And make sure you can, for any other feedback, anything you guys want to send to us, email us at needlesslynostalgic@gmail.com. And yeah, we've only got a couple more left, but this next one is, I cannot wait. I don't think I've talked Freddy versus Jason with you pretty much outside of minor, just talking about that poster that you own. So
now it'll be a good one. It'll be the most. We'll talk about it, but I'm excited because we're at the end of a long journey.
Yes. Holy crap. Yeah. Got going on a couple months of talking Friday the 13th. So it'll be weird to finally talk about other things. That's probably why in this episode we ended up talking about so many other aspects and so many other things that are just surrounding like horror in general.
That's good. It's stuff that needs to be discussed. That's what I have a lot of fun doing this because of stuff like this. It's let's rant and discuss life.
Yeah, agreed. Well, thank you guys so much, and we will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.